30 men stood in the penthouse, sweating. The briefcase sat in the center like a loaded gun. One wrong move, and the documents inside would burn, taking Hyun-Soo's shipping routes, his political connections, his dead father's entire legacy with them. His enemies were already circling. Friday, they'd move in for the kill. 3 weeks wasted, millions spent. Then the door opened. Delivery girl, rain-soaked jacket, food bags, squeaking sneakers on marble that cost more than she'd earn in a year. She shouldn't even be on this floor. But she set down the bags, looked at the briefcase, and said 5 words that made every man in the room freeze. "You're doing it wrong." She bent down before anyone could stop her, pressed something no one else had seen. Click. 25 seconds. The impossible lock opened. Hyun-Soo moved fast, grabbed her wrist before she could leave. "Who sent you?" His voice was dead calm, lethal. She blinked at him like he'd asked her to solve quantum physics. "The restaurant. They sent me with your sister's food." She tried to pull her wrist free. "Can I go now? I have 3 more deliveries and traffic is terrible." His security chief reached for his weapon. The other men closed in, surrounding her. And this girl, this nobody who'd just saved or destroyed everything he had, looked around at the 30 men staring at her like she'd committed a crime, and sighed. "Is this about a tip? Because the app doesn't let me." "You just opened a 3-year-old lock in 25 seconds. Hyun-Soo cut her off, pulling her closer. "Either you're a genius or you're working for someone who wants me dead. Which is it?" She stared at him, then laughed. Actually, laughed. "Are you serious right now? Hey, thanks for being here. Okay, real talk. Have you ever helped someone fix something super quick, and they immediately got suspicious like you had some secret agenda? Like, no, I just know how things work, calm down. That's exactly what's happening to Angel right now. And honestly, I'd be annoyed too." So would you laugh it off like she did or try to explain yourself? Let me know below and hit subscribe, because this misunderstanding is about to get dangerous. All right, back to the chaos. The 31st consultant packed his laptop with sweaty, quivering hands. Hyun-Soo didn't move from his position near the floor-to-ceiling windows, arms crossed, expression carved from stone. His security chief, Tae-min, stood near the door, equally silent. The briefcase remained locked. 3 weeks, 30 experts, millions of won wasted. "Sir, perhaps if we had more time. Leave." Hyun-Soo's voice cut through the excuse like a blade. The man fled. Tae-min cleared his throat. "We could use explosives. And destroy what's inside." "No." Hyun-Soo turned, scanning the city below. 43 stories down, Seoul glittered with lights that represented his territory, his business, his carefully constructed world. That briefcase contained documents that could either solidify his family's control over the eastern shipping routes or burn everything to ash if they fell into the wrong hands. His father had died protecting that case. Hyun-Soo would not dishonor that sacrifice by blowing it open like some common thug. His phone buzzed. A text from his younger sister, Da-hee. "Appa, I'm hungry. Send food, please." He almost smiled. Almost. Da-hee was the only person who could make demands of him without fear. She was staying in the guest suite tonight, preparing for her university entrance exams, oblivious to the crisis unfolding 3 floors above her. Hyun-Soo ordered from her favorite restaurant, then returned his attention to the briefcase. Another hour passed. The intercom crackled. "Sir, the food delivery is here." "Send it to the 41st floor. My sister's suite." "Sir, the delivery person is asking for Mr. Park Hyun-Soo. Says she needs to deliver it personally. Something about a special order confirmation." Hyun-Soo frowned. He hadn't ordered anything requiring personal confirmation. Still, stranger things had happened. Maybe the restaurant had a new policy. "Send her up." Tae-min's hand moved toward his concealed weapon, but Hyun-Soo shook his head. If this was an assassination attempt, it was the worst planned one in history. The elevator chimed. She stepped out carrying 2 bags and wearing a rain-soaked jacket over her delivery uniform, and Hyun-Soo's first thought was that she looked completely out of place in his world of marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, her sneakers squeaked against the polished floor, and her eyes, dark and intelligent, scanned the room with curiosity rather than intimidation. "Mr. Park?" Her voice held a slight accent, musical and unfamiliar. "Yes. I have your sister's order, but—" She hesitated, glancing at the briefcase on the table. "Is that a Seo-Jin special?" Every person in the room froze. Hyun-Soo studied her carefully. "What did you say?" "The briefcase." She moved closer, unbothered by Tae-min's warning glare. "My father used to work for a luggage company. That's a Seo-Jin special, right? Custom made? Probably from the early 2000s. You know about custom briefcases?" Tae-min's tone dripped skepticism. She shrugged. "I know about a lot of things. My dad was obsessed with craftsmanship. He'd bring home catalogs and talk about lock mechanisms for hours. It drove my mom crazy, but—" Her expression softened. "I guess I absorbed more than I realized." Hyun-Soo felt something shift in his chest. Curiosity, maybe. Or something more dangerous. "This particular briefcase is locked. We can't open it." "Did you try the emergency release?" Silence. "The what?" Tae-min asked. She set down the food bags, then approached the briefcase like she'd done this 1,000 times before. Seo-Jin special models from that era had a hidden emergency release. The company discontinued it after 2005 because people kept forgetting the location and drilling into their own cases. But if this is an original— Her fingers traced the left bottom corner. "There should be a small indentation here," she pressed. Nothing happened. Then she twisted the corner slightly to the right, pressed again, and the lock mechanism released with a soft click. 25 seconds. The briefcase opened. Hyun-Soo stared at the documents inside, intact and perfect, then slowly raised his gaze to the delivery girl who had just accomplished what 30 experts could not. "What's your name?" "Angel." She pronounced it carefully, probably used to people butchering it. "Most people just call me Ada." "Angel," he repeated, getting it right on the first try. Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe appreciation. "How much do you make delivering food?" "Enough to survive." Her chin lifted slightly. "Why?" "Because I want to hire you." She laughed, actually laughed, like he'd told a joke. "To do what? Open more briefcases?" That was just luck and weird childhood memories, not exactly a marketable skill. Intelligence is always marketable. Hyun-Soo moved closer, studying her face in better light. She was younger than he'd first thought, probably mid-20s, with the kind of beauty that didn't announce itself, but rather snuck up on you the longer you looked. "Work for me, name your price." "I don't even know what you do." "Import and export, shipping, logistics." All technically true. She glanced around the penthouse, clearly doing the math. This seems like more than just shipping. Smart. Very smart. "I run a large operation. It requires discretion." "Discretion." She tested the word. "That's a fancy way of saying you need people who don't ask questions." "I need people who solve problems." He picked up one of the food bags, handed it to Tae-min. "Take this to Da-hee. Tell her I'll be down shortly." Tae-min hesitated, clearly unwilling to leave his boss alone with a stranger. But Hyun-Soo's look left no room for argument. The security chief left. Ada watched him go. "Your sister?" "Yes." "You're close?" "She's family." "Of course we're close." Hyun-Soo gestured toward the seating area. "Sit." "I should really get back to work. I have 3 more deliveries tonight." "I'll pay you more than you'd make in a month of deliveries if you sit and talk with me for 10 minutes. That got her attention. She sat, perched on the edge of a chair like she might bolt any second. Her jacket dripped water onto his expensive furniture, and she noticed, starting to stand again. "It's fine," he said. "It's leather. Probably costs more than my entire apartment." "Then I'll buy another one." He sat across from her, leaning back, studying her like she was a puzzle he intended to solve. Tell me about yourself. Why? Because you interest me. She blinked. That's direct. I don't waste time with games. Not entirely true, but with her, he felt the strange urge to be honest. You walked into my office, solved a problem that stumped 30 experts, and you're not even impressed with yourself. That's unusual. Maybe I'm just practical. The solution was right there. Everyone else was probably overthinking it. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Besides, I've learned that being too proud of yourself is a good way to get knocked down. Life has a way of humbling you. You sound like you're speaking from experience. Everyone has experiences. She glanced at the briefcase. Is it valuable? What's inside? Very. Then I'm glad I could help. She stood. But I really do need to go. My boss will kill me if I'm late again. Quit. Excuse me. Quit your job. Work for me instead. Hyun-soo rose, closing the distance between them in 3 strides. He caught the faint scent of jasmine under the rain smell, something sweet and unexpected. I'll triple whatever you're making now. Quadruple it. You don't even know what I'd be doing. Does it matter? You'd be doing it in a warm office instead of driving through rain on a broken scooter. She froze. How did you know I have a scooter? He nodded toward the window. I can see the parking area from here. Only one scooter down there, and it's leaking oil. You're very observant. I have to be. He pulled a business card from his pocket, pressed it into her hand. Think about it. Call me when you've decided. She looked at the card, then at him, and something passed between them. A moment, brief but undeniable, like standing too close to a fire and feeling the heat before the burn. I'll think about it, she said quietly. Then she left, taking her jasmine scent and her rain-soaked jacket with her, and Hyun-soo stood in his empty penthouse, wondering why the space suddenly felt colder. Tae-min returned 5 minutes later. Should I have her followed? No. Sir, she knows about the briefcase now. She could talk. She won't. Hyun-soo didn't know how he knew that, but he did. Run a background check anyway. I want to know everything about her by morning. Of course. That night, Hyun-soo opened the briefcase and read through the documents his father had died protecting. Shipping routes, political connections, payoff schedules, evidence of corruption that reached into the highest levels of government. His family had spent 3 generations building this empire, and these papers could either cement their power or destroy it entirely. He should have felt relief. Instead, he kept thinking about dark eyes and jasmine scent, about a girl who'd solved his impossible problem and then walked away without asking for anything in return. Later that week, Tae-min delivered the background report. Angel Okoye, 26 years old, born in Rwanda, moved to South Korea 5 years ago on a student visa, graduated top of her class in engineering, but couldn't secure work in her field due to visa restrictions and probably discrimination. Currently working 3 jobs: food delivery, convenience store clerk, weekend receptionist at a hotel. Sending most of her money back home to support her younger siblings after their parents died in an accident. No criminal record. No debts beyond student loans. No romantic entanglements. Hyun-soo read the report 3 times. She hadn't called. 4 days passed. Still nothing. On the 5th day, he found himself driving past the restaurant she delivered for, telling himself he was just checking on a potential employee. He saw her loading bags onto her scooter, struggling with the weight. The night was cold, and her jacket looked too thin. He kept driving. On the 6th day, Da-hee asked why he was distracted. I'm not distracted. You've checked your phone 14 times during dinner. You never check your phone during family time. His sister stabbed at her food. Who is she? There's no she. Liar. You have that look. What look? The look men get when they've met someone who scares them. Da-hee grinned. Is she pretty? I'm not having this conversation. So she is pretty. Does she know what you do? She thinks I'm an import-export. Well, technically you are. You import illegal goods and export problems. Da-hee laughed at her own joke. You should call her. She has my number. If she wanted to reach out, she would. Maybe she's scared. You can be very intimidating, Appa. Hyun-soo considered that. He'd built his reputation on being intimidating. It kept enemies at bay and allies in line. But with Angel, he didn't want fear. He wanted something else. Something he didn't have a name for yet. The 7th day, she called. Mr. Park? His heart did something strange. Yes. It's Ada from the briefcase? I remember. Like he could forget. I've been thinking about your offer. A pause. Is it still available? Yes. What would I be doing exactly? Problem solving. Analysis. Whatever needs your particular set of skills. He kept his voice neutral, professional, even though every instinct screamed at him to tell her to come immediately. The work is legal, if that's your concern. Mostly legal? She caught the distinction. I operate in gray areas sometimes, but I don't deal in anything that would put you at risk, legally. Another pause. He could hear traffic in the background, pictured her standing somewhere on a street corner, probably between deliveries. I need to know something first, she said. Ask. Why me? You could hire anyone. Someone with credentials, connections, someone who looks like they belong in your world. Because you solved in seconds what others couldn't solve in weeks. Because you're smart and practical, and you don't waste time pretending to be something you're not. He meant every word. And because I think you're capable of far more than delivering food in the rain. Silence, then softly. Okay. I'll work for you. But I have conditions. Of course she did, he smiled. Name them. I need to keep my weekend hotel job. The manager there has been kind to me, and I won't abandon her without proper notice. Give me 2 weeks to find her a replacement. Done. What else? I need Fridays off to send money home. It's when the transfer rates are best. I'll arrange for automatic transfers, better rates than you're getting now. I can handle my own finances. I'm sure you can. But why waste money on transfer fees when I have connections that can eliminate them? He heard her hesitation. It's not charity, Angel. It's efficiency. You work for me. I make your life easier. That's how this works. I don't want special treatment. You'll get the same benefits as anyone in your position. And what position is that exactly? Personal consultant. You'll report directly to me. That sounds made up. Most job titles are made up. This one comes with a private office, full benefits, and a salary that will let you stop working 3 jobs. He paused. Start Monday. My driver will pick you up at 7. I don't need a driver. I have my scooter. Your scooter is dying. I heard it from my window. You have excellent hearing. I pay attention to things that matter. The words came out before he could stop them, heavy with meaning he hadn't intended to reveal. Another pause. Longer this time. 7 is fine, she said finally. But I'm giving you 2 weeks' notice when I realize this is a mistake. If you still think it's a mistake after 2 weeks, I'll personally drive you back to the restaurant and apologize to your old boss. She laughed, and the sound did something dangerous to his carefully controlled composure. Good night, Mr. Park. Hyun-soo, call me Hyun-soo. That seems informal. We'll be working closely. Formality is inefficient. You like that word. Efficient. I like things that work. Then I hope I work. She said it lightly, but he heard the thread of uncertainty underneath. You will, he said, and meant it with a conviction that surprised him. After she hung up, he sat in his office staring at his phone like a teenager instead of a 33-year-old man who controlled half of Seoul's underground economy. Tae-min knocked, entered without waiting for permission. I heard you're hiring the delivery girl. Problem? Just surprised. You don't usually make impulsive decisions. This isn't impulsive. It's strategic. Strategic. Tae-min's expression said he didn't believe that for a second. Sir, with respect, you've been distracted for a week, and now you're bringing her into the organization? She's smart. We need smart people. We need loyal people. People who understand the rules. Then I'll teach her the rules. Hyun-soo stood, walked to the window. She'll be fine. And if she's not? If she sees something she shouldn't and runs? She won't run. He said it with more confidence than he felt. How do you know? Because she'd looked him in the eye without flinching. Because she'd asked for conditions instead of money. Because something in her called to something in him, a recognition he couldn't explain or ignore. I just know, he said. Tae-min sighed. I'll have security prepare her clearance. But sir, be careful. I'm always careful. Not like this. This is different. Hyun-soo didn't argue because Tae-min was right. This was different. And maybe that's exactly why he couldn't walk away. The weekend passed slowly. Hyun-soo attended his usual meetings, made his usual decisions, maintained his usual control. But underneath, anticipation hummed like a live wire. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and the smell of rain. His driver called at 6:45. Sir, I'm at the address you provided, but this can't be right. What do you mean? The building. There are structural issues. I don't think it's safe. Hyun-soo felt anger spike, cold and sharp. Wait there, I'm coming. He arrived 20 minutes later to find his driver parked outside a building that should have been condemned. Cracked concrete, broken windows, graffiti covering most of the first floor. This was where Angel lived? She emerged right on time, wearing simple black pants and a white blouse that looked newly pressed. Her hair was pulled back, her expression calm, like walking out of squalor was perfectly normal. She saw him standing beside the car and froze. You're not the driver. I wanted to see you. The truth. Simple and unadorned. Oh. She glanced at the building behind her, and he saw the flash of embarrassment cross her face. I'm saving money. It's not as bad as it looks. It's worse. He opened the car door. Get in. She climbed in, silent. He slid in beside her, and the driver pulled away from the curb. The car was warm, expensive, everything her building was not. She sat stiffly, hands folded in her lap. I'm arranging new housing, Hyun-soo said. Excuse me? That building is dangerous. You're moving. You can't just decide that. I can, and I did. By Friday, you'll have a new apartment. Safe building, good neighborhood. I can't afford. Part of your employment package. Non-negotiable. Her jaw tightened. I don't need you to rescue me. I'm not rescuing you. I'm protecting my investment. If you get hurt in that death trap, I lose my problem solver. He kept his tone businesslike, even though that wasn't the real reason at all. The real reason was that the thought of her in that building, surrounded by broken concrete and a potential danger, made something violent twist in his chest. She stared out the window. I don't like being managed. Then think of it as a strategic relocation. He watched her profile, the stubborn set of her jaw. You're intelligent enough to know that building is unsafe. Why stay there? Because it's what I can afford. Because I won't take charity. She turned to face him. I've worked hard to stand on my own feet. I won't give that up just because you throw money at me. It's not charity, it's part of your salary. Convenient excuse. He almost smiled. She didn't back down easily. He liked that. Would you prefer I dock your pay to cover the rent? That made her pause. You're serious? Completely. I'll deduct the rent from your salary if it makes you feel better about accepting help. That's manipulative. That's compromise. He held her gaze. You want independence. I want you safe. We both get what we need. She studied him for a long moment, then shook her head. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone colder, probably. More detached. She looked away again. You're still intimidating, but different. Disappointing? No, just different. They rode the rest of the way in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like the beginning of something. An understanding, maybe. or something more complicated. The office building was glass and steel, modern and imposing. She followed him through security, past employees who stared at her with obvious curiosity. He led her to the 40th floor, down a hallway lined with expensive art, to an office 3 doors from his own. "This is yours?" She stepped inside, eyes widening. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a massive desk, comfortable chairs, a bookshelf waiting to be filled. "This is too much. This is standard for your position. I don't even know what my position is. You'll learn." He moved to the window, looked out at the city. "I'll have projects sent to you. Some will be simple analysis. Some will require creative problem-solving. You'll report your findings directly to me, and we'll discuss implementation strategies." That's incredibly vague. "Because your role will be fluid, I don't want to limit what you can do." He turned to face her. "You impressed me with that briefcase. I want to see what else you're capable of." She walked to the desk, ran her hand over the smooth surface. "And if I fail? Then you try again. Failure is just data." He moved closer, drawn by something he couldn't name. "I don't expect perfection, Angel. I expect effort and honesty." She looked up at him, and for a moment, they were too close. He could see flecks of gold in her dark eyes, could smell that jasmine scent again. Her breath caught, just slightly, and he felt his own control slip a fraction. Then she stepped back, breaking the moment. "I should probably get started then. Probably." His voice came out rougher than intended. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did, and was pretending not to. Either way, she moved towards the desk, putting professional distance between them. "I'll send Tai Min with your first project in an hour. If you need anything, call my office." "Okay." He should leave, should walk out and let her settle in. Instead, he stood there, watching her examine her new space, memorizing the way she moved, the expressions that crossed her face. "Hyun-Soo." He liked the way his name sounded in her voice. "Yes? Thank you. For the opportunity. Thank me by doing good work." She smiled. Small, but genuine. And he felt that dangerous thing in his chest shift again. Then he left before he did something stupid, like tell her she was beautiful when she smiled, or that he'd been thinking about her for 7 days straight, or that he'd read her background report so many times he'd memorized details he had no business knowing. In his office, Tae Min waited with a knowing look. "Don't start," Hyun-Soo warned. "I didn't say anything." "You're thinking it." "I'm thinking a lot of things, sir. Most of them involve the fact that you just gave the new hire an office next to yours, when we have 50 empty spaces in the building. Proximity is efficient." That word again. Tae Min shook his head. "What's her first project?" Hyun-Soo had been thinking about that all weekend. Something challenging but not impossible. Something that would let her shine without putting her at risk. "The shipping route analysis. The one from last month that Chen couldn't crack. That's been sitting cold for weeks. Give it to her. Fresh eyes might see something we missed." Tae Min pulled out his phone, made notes. "Anything else?" "Yes. Find out who owns her building. I want to know why it hasn't been condemned, and who's been paying off inspectors to keep it open. Planning to shut it down? Planning to buy it and renovate it. People are living there. They deserve better." Tae Min's expression shifted. "That's unusually altruistic of you, sir." "It's strategic. Happy residents don't report suspicious activity." "Of course." Tae Min didn't believe him, but he'd follow orders anyway. After he left, Hyun-Soo tried to focus on work. Contracts to review, meetings to prepare for, decisions that affected hundreds of people and millions of one. But his attention kept drifting 3 doors down, wondering what she thought of her new office, whether she'd started the project yet, if she was comfortable. This was problematic. He'd built his entire life on control, on emotional distance, on treating people as assets or threats. Angel fit neither category. She was something else. Something that made him want to break his own rules. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "The project file is corrupted. Can't open it." He smiled. She'd figured out his number. Smart. Come to my office. I'll fix it. I can fix it myself if you tell me the password. I'd rather see you. He sent it before second-guessing, then immediately regretted it. Too honest. Too revealing. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Professional or personal request. Can't it be both? That seems complicated. I'm good with complicated. Another long pause. I'll be there in 5 minutes. He spent those 5 minutes straightening his desk, adjusting his tie, feeling like an idiot. He was a grown man, a powerful one, and he was nervous about a woman walking into his office. She knocked exactly 5 minutes later. Come in. She entered, file folder in hand, expression curious. The whole file is encrypted. Is that normal? For sensitive projects, yes. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. I'll give you access, but there are rules. I figured there would be. Everything you see, everything you work on, stays confidential. You don't discuss projects with anyone except me or Tae Min. You don't take files home. Don't make copies. Don't share information with friends or family. I don't have friends here, and my family is thousands of miles away. Your secrets are safe. It's not about trust. It's about protection. What you don't share, you can't be blamed for leaking. She sat, crossed her legs. You live in a dangerous world. I live in a realistic one. People talk. Information gets sold. I minimize risks. By controlling everything. By being careful. He opened his laptop, typed quickly. Your access is activated. Try opening the file now. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, then nodded. Got it. Thank you. She should leave now. The problem was solved. But she didn't move, and he didn't dismiss her. Can I ask you something? She said. Always. Why did you really hire me? And don't say it's because I opened a briefcase. There's more to it than that. He leaned back, considering how much truth to give her. You're right. There is more to it. So tell me. I hired you because you walked into my office without fear, because you saw a problem and fixed it without asking for permission or praise, because you negotiated conditions instead of just taking what I offered. He held her gaze. And because you reminded me that intelligence comes in unexpected packages, and I'd be a fool to let it walk away. She absorbed that, expression unreadable. That's a lot to live up to. You'll manage. You seem very sure of that. I am. He stood, walked around the desk, leaned against it. Closer to her now, close enough to see her pulse jump at her throat. I'm good at reading people, Angel. It's how I've survived this long. And I read you as someone who rises to challenges instead of running from them. Maybe I've had enough challenges. Maybe I wanted an easy life. Then you wouldn't have moved to a foreign country alone. You wouldn't be working 3 jobs to support siblings you could have left behind. He saw her flinch, knew he'd struck something tender. You don't choose easy, probably because easy never chose you. So you make hard look effortless, and you smile while doing it, and you pretend it doesn't cost you anything. She stood abruptly. You don't know me. Not yet. But I will. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. He didn't move, didn't back down. I told you I don't play games, and I meant it. I want to know you. I want to understand what makes you solve problems that stump experts. What makes you negotiate instead of accept. What makes you choose rain-soaked delivery work over going home to your family. I stay because I have responsibilities. You stay because you're running from something, or maybe running towards something. Either way, you're here, and so am I. And I think that means something. It means I needed a job, and you had an opening. Nothing more. If that's what you need to believe, fine. But we both know it's more complicated than that. She grabbed the folder, headed for the door. I should get to work. Angel. She stopped, but didn't turn around. I'm glad you called, he said quietly. A pause. Then she left without responding, and Hyun-Soo stood in his empty office, wondering when exactly he'd lost control of this situation. The answer was probably the moment she'd stepped out of that elevator, soaking wet and utterly unimpressed by his wealth. 3 hours later, his phone buzzed again. I found an error in the shipping route analysis. Call me when you have time. He called immediately. That was fast, she said. You found something in 3 hours that Chen missed in 3 weeks. I'm interested. There's a pattern in the delivery delays. They're not random like the report suggested. He heard papers rustling. Every delay clusters around the 15th of the month, always in the Southern District. Always the same 4 companies receiving shipments. Hyun-Soo sat up straighter. Go on. Either those 4 companies have the worst luck in Seoul, or someone's deliberately causing delays. My guess? Someone's skimming product during the confusion and selling it independently. Can you prove it? Give me access to the warehouse logs, and I can have proof by tomorrow morning. He smiled. 3 hours. She'd been on his payroll for 3 hours, and she'd already uncovered theft that had cost him hundreds of thousands of won. Access granted. Send me your findings tomorrow. Should I loop in Tai Min? No, just me. This stays between us until we know who's involved. Okay. A pause. Hyun-Soo? Yes? This is good work, right? I'm not overstepping? The uncertainty in her voice made that thing in his chest tighten. This is excellent work. You're exactly where you should be. Okay, good. I'll get back to it then. After she hung up, he made 3 calls. First to Tai Min, asking for warehouse logs to be sent to Angel's office. Second to his accountant, authorizing a bonus payment for her next paycheck. Third to his real estate manager, demanding a list of available apartments in safe neighborhoods by end of day. Then he sat back and tried to remember the last time he'd felt this invested. In a person. In anything beyond business and family. He couldn't. That night, he found himself driving past her building again. Told himself he was just checking security, making sure she got home safely. But really, he just wanted to see her light turn on in that 4th floor window. Wanted to know she was okay. The light came on at 8:30. He watched it for 5 minutes, then drove home feeling like a stalker and not caring enough to stop. The next morning, Angel delivered her findings with the kind of thorough documentation that would hold up in court. She'd traced the theft to 3 warehouse workers and 1 logistics coordinator. She'd documented every delayed shipment, every missing item, every connection between the thieves and their buyers. This is incredible, Hyun-Soo said, reading through her report. It's just data analysis, nothing special. But she looked pleased. It's more than that. You saw the pattern, tracked it down, built an airtight case. That's investigative work. He looked up from the report. How did you learn to do this? My father was an accountant before the accident. He used to let me help with his work sometimes. Showed me how to find discrepancies in numbers. I guess I have a knack for it. More than a knack. He made a decision. How do you feel about leading the interrogation? Her eyes widened. What? You found the theft. You should confront the thieves. I don't think. That's a good idea. I'm new here. I don't have authority. You have my authority. That's all you need. Hyun-Soo, I can't just walk into an interrogation on my 2nd day. Why not? He stood, gestured for her to follow. You've already done the hard part. Now you finish it. She followed him reluctantly down to the basement level, where Tai Min had the 4 suspects waiting in separate rooms. Hyun-Soo could see her nervousness, the way her hands trembled slightly, but she didn't back down. Which one first? He asked. She studied the one-way glass, looking at each suspect. The coordinator. He's the linchpin. Get him to talk, and the others will fold. Smart again. They entered the interrogation room together. The coordinator, a man named Park Jin-Soo, looked up with barely concealed contempt until he saw Hyun-Soo. Then fear replaced the arrogance. Mr. Park, I don't know why I'm here. Stop! Angel's voice cut through his stammering. She placed the report on the table, opened it to a specific page. You've been stealing from this company for 8 months. You've cost Mr. Park almost 3 million won in lost product and damaged relationships with clients. I don't know what you're talking about. She pulled out another page. These are warehouse logs showing your access to the South District facility on every date a shipment went missing. This is security footage showing you loading unmarked boxes into your personal vehicle after hours. This is a paper trail connecting you to buyers who've been reselling Park products at a discount. Jin-Soo's face went white. You can confess now, or Mr. Park can involve the police. Your choice, but make it quickly because I have 3 more of your accomplices waiting. Hyun-Soo watched her work, fascinated. She wasn't aggressive or threatening. She was calm, methodical, factual. And somehow, that was more intimidating than any show of force. Jin-Soo broke in under 5 minutes. The other 3 confessed within the hour. When it was over, Angel leaned against the wall outside the interrogation rooms, breathing hard. That was intense. You were incredible. I was terrified. Didn't show. Hyun-Soo moved closer, wanting to touch her, to offer comfort, but restraining himself. You just recovered 3 million won and dismantled a theft ring. That's not bad for your second day. She laughed, a little shaky. I think I need to sit down. He led her back to her office, watched her sink into her chair. Color was returning to her face, the adrenaline wearing off. Do you always throw new employees into the deep end? She asked. Only the ones I know can swim. He sat across from her. You didn't just swim, Angel. You dominated. Those men are twice your age with years of experience, and you dismantled them with facts and confidence. I had good evidence. You had excellent instincts. There's a difference. He wanted to say more, wanted to tell her she was remarkable, but that felt like too much. So instead, he said, take the rest of the day off. You've earned it. It's barely noon. Then enjoy your afternoon. He stood to leave, paused at the door. And Angel, thank you. For what? For being exactly who you are. He left before she could respond, before he said something he couldn't take back. That evening, Da-hee cornered him at dinner. You hired someone new. I hire people all the time. Not people you give corner offices to, not people you personally drive to work. She grinned. Tae-min told me. Tae-min talks too much. He's worried about you. So am I, actually. You're different lately. I'm the same as always. No, Appa. You're distracted and moody, and you keep checking your phone. That's not you. She leaned forward. Tell me about her. There's nothing to tell. Is she pretty? He thought about dark eyes and jasmine scent, about the way Angel held herself with quiet dignity, despite everything life had thrown at her. Yes, Da-hee's eyes lit up. You admitted it. She must be amazing if you actually admitted it. She's competent. Competent. Right. Because you give corner offices to every competent employee. Da-hee laughed. When do I get to meet her? Never. That's not fair. I want to meet the woman who's making my scary brother act like a human. I've always been human. Debatable. She grew serious. I'm happy for you, though. You deserve someone good. It's not like that. It's professional. For now, maybe. But Appa, I've never seen you look at anyone the way Tae-min says you look at her. Don't let fear stop you from being happy. Hyun-Soo didn't respond because he didn't know what to say. Fear wasn't the issue. Control was. He'd built his entire life on maintaining control, on keeping emotions separate from business. But with Angel, those lines kept blurring, and he didn't know how to stop it. Didn't know if he wanted to stop it. The rest of the week passed in a blur of projects, and late-night phone calls. Angel threw herself into work with the kind of dedication he recognized because he'd built his empire on it. She arrived early, left late, asked smart questions, delivered excellent results. And every day, Hyun-Soo found excuses to see her, checking on project progress, discussing strategy, bringing her coffee when he noticed she skipped lunch. Small things that added up to a pattern he couldn't ignore. On Friday, he personally delivered news about her new apartment. She was bent over her desk, studying spreadsheets, and didn't hear him knock. He stood in the doorway, watching her work, memorizing the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when concentrating. Angel. She jumped, then smiled when she saw him. You're very quiet for such a large man. Practice. He held out a folder. Your new apartment. Keys are inside, along with the address and building information. She took the folder hesitantly. Already? I told you by Friday. It's Friday. I know, but... She opened the folder, scanned the details, and her face went pale. This is in Gangnam. Yes. Hyun-soo, I can't afford Gangnam, even with my salary. You're not paying Gangnam prices. I own the building. You'll pay the same as your current rent. You own the building? I own many buildings. This one happens to have a vacant unit. This feels like charity. It's real estate management. I have an empty apartment. You need housing. It's efficient. He moved closer to her desk. Also, the building has excellent security, which means I won't worry about you being robbed or worse. You worry about me? The question caught him off guard. Of course. Why? Because she mattered. Because the thought of her in danger made him violent. Because she'd become important in a way he didn't fully understand and couldn't seem to control. Because you work for me, he said instead. Employee safety is important. She studied him for a long moment, and he knew she didn't fully believe him. When can I move in? This weekend if you want. I'll send people to help with your things. I don't have many things. Then it'll be quick. He paused. I'd like to help. You want to help me move? Why not? Because you're... you. You have people for this kind of thing. Maybe I want to do it myself. The truth slipped out before he could filter it. She looked surprised, then thoughtful. Okay. Saturday morning? I'll pick you up at 9. After he left, Tai Min appeared in his office doorway. You're helping her move? Problem? No, just... You haven't personally helped anyone move in your entire life. There's a first time for everything. Sir, with respect, you're in deep. I'm aware. Does she know? Know what? That you're falling for her. Hyun-soo didn't answer because the answer was complicated. He wasn't falling. He'd already fallen, hard and fast, and he didn't know how to climb back out. Wasn't sure he wanted to. Saturday arrived cold and clear. Hyun-soo drove himself. No driver, no bodyguards. Just him and a truck he'd borrowed from the company garage. He knocked on her door at exactly 9. She answered wearing jeans and an old sweater, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked younger, softer, and his chest did that thing again. You're punctual, she said. I'm German about time. You're Korean. Koreans can appreciate German efficiency. He looked past her into the tiny apartment. Is this everything? Told you I didn't have much. She wasn't kidding. 2 suitcases, a few boxes, a small bookshelf. Everything she owned fit in the back of the truck with room to spare. This is all you brought from Rwanda? He asked, loading the last box. I left most of my things with my siblings. Didn't make sense to ship it all here. She climbed into the truck. Besides, material things aren't that important to me. I've learned to live light. By choice or necessity? Does it matter? The result is the same. They drove across, the city in comfortable silence. He'd expected awkwardness, but instead, it felt natural. Easy. Like they'd done this 100 times before. The new building was modern, clean, secure. He led her to the 8th floor, unlocked the door to her new apartment. She stepped inside and went very still. The apartment was furnished. Fully. Couch, coffee table, bed, dresser, kitchen table. Everything tasteful and comfortable and probably expensive. Hyun-soo. The previous tenant left everything. It seemed wasteful to remove it. You're lying. I'm being efficient. She turned to face him, eyes bright. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? Taking care of me, giving me things. It's too much. It's furniture, and you can't sleep on the floor. I could have bought my own furniture. With what money? You're still sending most of your salary home." He moved closer, couldn't help himself. "Let me do this, Angel. Let me make your life easier." "Why?" Her voice broke slightly. "Why do? You care so much?" "Because you're brilliant and brave and beautiful. Because you walked into my life and solved an impossible problem, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since. Because when I'm near you, I feel like maybe I'm more than just the sum of my empire and my responsibilities." "Because you deserve better than broken concrete and dangerous neighborhoods," he said instead. "Because you work hard and ask for nothing, and someone should take care of you for a change." "I don't need taking care of. Everyone needs taking care of sometimes. Even strong, independent women who solve problems in seconds." She looked away, and he saw her blinking rapidly. "I'm not going to cry." "You can cry if you want to. I won't tell anyone." That surprised a laugh out of her. "You're very strange." "I've been called worse." They spent the next hour unpacking her few belongings. He found himself paying attention to small details. She organized her books by subject rather than author. She had a photograph of 4 children on her nightstand, probably her siblings. She folded her clothes precisely, everything neat and careful. "Tell me about them," he said, nodding toward the photo. "My siblings." Her expression softened. Chidibear is 17, wants to be a doctor. Ngozi is 15, obsessed with computers. The twins, Amadi and Neka, are 12. They're the reason I'm here. Here in Korea. Here in general. Alive, working, fighting. She touched the frame gently. After our parents died, I could have given them to relatives. Would have been easier. But I couldn't do that to them. So I work, I send money, I make sure they stay in school. You raise them from thousands of miles away. I do what I have to do." She set the photo on her nightstand. "They're my responsibility." That's a heavy burden for someone so young. "I'm 26, not that young." "Young enough." He wanted to ask about her dreams, about what she wanted beyond duty and responsibility. But that felt too personal. So instead, he helped her hang clothes in the closet. When everything was unpacked, he ordered lunch. They sat on her new couch, eating takeout. And for a moment, it felt almost domestic. Normal. Like they were friends, or maybe something more. "Can I ask you something?" she said between bites. "Always. What happened to your father?" His chopsticks stilled. No one asked about his father. People knew better. But she didn't know the rules yet, and somehow, he didn't mind her breaking them. "He was killed 3 years ago." "I'm sorry. It's the life we chose. Dangerous business, dangerous consequences. But you stayed in it. After he died, you could have walked away." "I have responsibilities too. My family's legacy, our people, my sister's future." He set down his food. "Sometimes we don't get to choose our paths. We just walk them as well as we can. That's sad. That's reality." She looked at him for a long moment. "Do you ever wish things were different?" "Every day. But wishing doesn't change anything. Maybe not. But hope does. You sound like my sister. She sounds smart. She is. Too smart sometimes." He checked his watch, reluctant to leave. "I should go. Let you settle in. Thank you for everything. The apartment, the help, the furniture I know you bought specifically for me despite your terrible lies." He smiled. "You're welcome." At the door, she touched his arm, and the contact sent electricity through him. "Hyun-soo, I know you're not just my boss. I know there's more happening here. I feel it too." His heart stopped. "Angel, but I'm scared. Of what you do, of who you are, of how I feel when you're near me. So I need time to figure this out. Can you give me that?" He wanted to say no, wanted to tell her he'd waited long enough, that he knew what he felt and didn't need time to process it. But he also knew she was right. This was happening fast, too fast, and she deserved space to breathe. "Take all the time you need," he said. "I'm not going anywhere." She smiled, relieved. "Okay, good." He left before he could change his mind, before he could pull her close and show her exactly how he felt. Control. He needed to maintain control, but driving home, he knew he was lying to himself. He'd already lost control the moment she'd walked into his life. The following week brought new projects and new challenges. Angel continued to excel, impressing him and everyone else she worked with. Tae-min started coming to her for analysis, which was the highest compliment his security chief could give. But Hyun-soo kept his distance, gave her space, maintained professional boundaries, even though it killed him. Until Thursday evening, when everything changed. He was working late, alone in his office, when Tae-min called. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The kind that involves Ms. Okoye and a very interested businessman at that hotel where she still works weekends." Hyun-soo's blood went cold. "Explain." "Park Min-jae showed up an hour ago. He's been asking questions about her, flirting, making offers. She's been professional, but he's persistent. Min-jae, rival businessman, known for his aggressive tactics and his tendency to acquire things he wanted, regardless of whether they were available. He'd tried to poach Hyun-soo's clients before. Now he was trying to poach something far more valuable. Is she safe? For now. But sir, he's not going to give up easily. He never does. Hyun-soo was moving before Tae-min finished talking. Where? The Shilla Hotel, main lobby. He made it there in 15 minutes, breaking every traffic law. Found Angel behind the reception desk, smiling politely at a man in an expensive suit who was leaning too close, talking too familiarly. Min-jae. Hyun-soo approached slowly, letting his presence announce itself. Min-jae looked up, saw him, and had the audacity to smile. Park Hyun-soo, what brings you here? Business. Hyun-soo's eyes flicked to Angel. She looked relieved to see him. Ms. Okoye, I need to speak with you. I'm working until now. The authority in his voice left no room for argument. She came around the desk, told her manager she'd be back in 5 minutes. Min-jae watched them leave, still smiling. Interesting employee you have there, Park. Very intelligent. We had a fascinating conversation about logistics. Stay away from her. Or what? She's not your property? No, she's not. But she works for me, and I protect what's mine. Does she know that? Min-jae's smile widened. Because she seemed quite interested when I offered her a better position. Better pay, better hours, better everything. Hyun-soo felt rage build, cold and controlled. If you approach her again, we'll have a different kind of conversation. Is that a threat? It's a promise. He walked away before he did something violent, found Angel waiting in the hallway. What was that about? That man is dangerous. He seemed nice. He's not nice. He's calculating. And he wants to use you to get to me. Use me how? By hiring you away, learning my business practices, accessing my clients. He struggled to keep his voice level. You can't talk to him again. You can't tell me who to talk to. I can when it's a matter of safety. My safety or your pride? Her eyes flashed. Because that felt like a jealous boyfriend, not a concerned employer. She was right, and he hated it. Both, probably. But mostly your safety. I can take care of myself. I know you can. But you don't understand the world I operate in. Men like Min-jae don't make offers out of kindness. They make them out of strategy, and you're a strategic target now. Because I work for you. Yes. She processed that, and he saw the moment understanding hit. Oh. Yeah. Oh. He moved closer. I'm sorry I pulled you away from work. I couldn't watch him manipulate you. He wasn't manipulating me. He was flirting. Same thing with men like him. Men like you too? The question landed like a punch. I've never lied to you. I've never pretended to be something I'm not. No. You've just bought me an apartment, furnished it, given me a job, controlled where I live and who I talk to. She shook her head. Maybe you're not that different from him after all. That hurt more than he expected. If that's what you think, maybe you should take his offer. Maybe I will. They stared at each other, both angry, both hurt, both too stubborn to back down. Then her manager called out, "Angel, your break is over." She turned without another word, walked back to the desk. Hyun-soo stood in the hallway, fists clenched, trying to remember the last time he'd felt this out of control. He left before he said something he'd regret, drove home in silence, ignored Tae-min's calls, and tried to convince himself that letting her go would be the right thing to do. But by morning, he knew he couldn't do it, couldn't walk away, couldn't pretend she didn't matter, couldn't let pride destroy something that felt more real than anything he'd experienced in years. So he called her. She didn't answer. He called again. Still nothing. Third time, she picked up. "What?" "I'm sorry." Silence. "I was out of line last night. You're right. I have been controlling, and I justified it by telling myself it was for your protection. But really," he exhaled slowly, "really, I was just scared of losing you." More silence. "Angel, please say something." "I'm thinking." "About?" "About whether I believe you, about whether this is manipulation or honesty." Her voice softened slightly. "About whether I'm making a huge mistake by caring about my boss, who operates in gray areas and has enemies, and thinks buying furniture solves problems. Is it working? The caring part?" "Unfortunately." She sighed. "I don't want to care about you, Hyun-soo. It's complicated and probably dangerous and definitely unprofessional. But you do." "Yeah, I do. Which makes me either very brave or very stupid. Can't it be both?" She laughed, and relief flooded through him. "You're impossible." "I've been called worse." He paused. "Have dinner with me tonight. Not as your boss, as someone who wants to know you better." "That sounds like a date." "It is a date. I thought you needed time. I thought you needed time. I've known exactly what I wanted since the moment you solved that briefcase." "That's ridiculous. You can't fall for someone that fast." "Apparently, I can." He waited, barely breathing. "So, dinner?" "Okay." "Okay?" "Yes. Dinner. But somewhere normal. Not some 5-star place where I'll feel out of place. There's a small restaurant near your apartment. Korean Rwandan fusion, if you can believe that. Owner is from Kigali." "You researched Rwandan restaurants?" "I research everything that matters to you." That should be creepy, but somehow it's sweet. I'll take sweet. They agreed on 7. He spent the day unable to concentrate on work, which was so unlike him that Tae-min actually asked if he was ill. "I'm fine." "You've read the same contract 3 times without signing it." "I'm being thorough." "You're distracted. Again." Tae-min sat down. "Sir, I know you care about her, but you need to be careful. Your enemies won't hesitate to use her against you." "I know." "Do you? Because getting involved with her puts a target on her back. Are you prepared to protect her from that?" "I'd destroy anyone who tried to hurt her. I believe you. But what about her? Is she prepared for the life you're offering?" Hyun-soo didn't have an answer for that. At 6:30, he left the office, drove himself again, no security detail. He wanted this evening to feel normal, even though nothing about his life was normal. He picked her up at exactly 7. She was waiting outside her building, wearing a simple dress and looking nervous. "You look beautiful," he said. "You look terrified." "I am terrified." "Of what?" "Of messing this up." He opened the car door for her. "I'm good at business, Angel. I'm good at strategy and negotiation and control. But this? Dating? Being vulnerable? I'm terrible at this." "Well, that's honest, at least." They drove to the restaurant, a small place tucked between a bookstore and a cafe. The owner, a woman in her 50s, greeted Angel in Kinyarwanda, and Hyun-soo watched her face light up as she responded in the same language. "You speak Kinyarwanda?" he asked when they were seated. It's my first language. I don't get to use it much here. She looked around the restaurant, taking in the familiar decorations, the smell of food that reminded her of home. Thank you for this. It's really thoughtful. I wanted you to feel comfortable. Mission accomplished. She studied the menu. Though I should warn you, Rwandan food can be spicy. I can handle spicy. We'll see. Dinner was easy. Conversation flowed, naturally, touching on everything and nothing. She told him about her childhood in Kigali, about her father's accounting business, about the accident that had changed everything. He told her about growing up in his father's shadow, about the pressure of legacy, about Dahi's stubborn determination to live a normal life, despite their family's reputation. She sounds amazing, Angel said. She is. You'd like her. You think? I know. You're both stubborn, smart, and refuse to be intimidated by me. Is that a common trait in women you respect? Apparently. He reached across the table, took her hand. Can I ask you something? Always. What are you most afraid of? She thought for a moment. Failing the people I love. Not being enough. Not doing enough. Not mattering in the end. You matter. To who? To your siblings. To your work. To me. She looked down at their joined hands. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brilliant and brave, and you solve impossible problems. I know you care deeply and work relentlessly, and you put everyone before yourself. He squeezed her hand gently. I know that when you walk into a room, everything else fades. And I know that scares the hell out of me, because I've never felt this way about anyone. Hyun-Soo, I'm not asking you to feel the same way. I just need you to know that this is real for me. You're real for me. She met his eyes, and he saw fear and hope warring in her expression. What if this doesn't work? Then we'll deal with it. But what if it does? What if this is exactly what we both need? That seems optimistic for someone who operates in gray areas. Maybe you bring out the optimist in me. She smiled, tentative, but genuine. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how to date someone like you. Someone like me? Powerful, dangerous. Someone who makes me feel things I shouldn't feel. What kinds of things? Safe, protected. Like maybe I don't have to carry everything alone anymore. She pulled her hand back, looking embarrassed. That's stupid. I should be independent. Independence and accepting support aren't mutually exclusive. You can be strong and still let someone care for you. Is that what you're doing? Caring for me? Yes, whether you want me to or not. I want you to. The admission came out quiet, almost shy. I just don't know if I should. Why not? Because you're my boss. Because you live in a world I don't understand. Because when this ends, I'll be the one left broken. What makes you think it will end? Everything ends eventually. Not if we don't let it. They finished dinner in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It felt like the calm before something inevitable. Like standing at the edge of a cliff knowing you're about to jump, but not quite ready yet. He drove her home slowly, taking the long route. Neither of them wanted the evening to end. At her building, he walked her to the door, stood too close, breathing in jasmine. Can I see you again? He asked. We work together. You'll see me tomorrow. You know what I mean. Yeah, I do. She looked up at him, and the vulnerability in her eyes made his chest ache. This is happening, isn't it? Even though it's crazy and complicated, and probably a terrible idea. Probably. But I don't care. You should. I should. We should both be smarter about this. I'm done being smart. He cupped her face gently, thumb brushing her cheekbone. I'm going to kiss you now. If you don't want that, tell me to stop. She didn't tell him to stop. He leaned down, pressed his lips to her forehead, soft and reverent. No, not reverent. Gentle. Meaningful. A promise. She exhaled shakily. That's not a kiss. It's the only kiss I'm taking tonight. The rest, you'll have to give me when you're ready. What if I'm never ready? Then I'll wait. You're very patient for someone who controls everything. You're worth waiting for." She stood on her toes, pressed her lips to his cheek, quick and shy. "Good night, Hyun-soo." Then she disappeared inside before he could respond. He drove home with her jasmine scent still in his lungs and her shy kiss still burning on his skin. And for the first time in years, he felt something close to happy. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Work during the day, dinners when they could manage it, long phone calls late at night when she couldn't sleep, and he didn't want to let her go. They didn't talk about labels or definitions, didn't discuss what they were or where this was going. It felt too fragile for that, too new. But everyone noticed. Tae-min watched them with knowing looks. Da-hee demanded to meet Angel. Office gossip spread like wildfire, and Hyun-soo didn't care. He was falling, had already fallen, and for once in his carefully controlled life, he didn't want to fight it. Until the morning, everything changed. He was in a meeting with suppliers when Tae-min interrupted, face grim. "Sir, we have a situation." Hyun-soo excused himself, followed his security chief into the hallway. "What's wrong?" "It's about Ms. Okoye's family." His blood went cold. "What about them?" "There's been an incident in Rwanda. Her youngest siblings, the twins. They're in the hospital." "What happened?" "Car accident. They were walking home from school and—" Tae-min trailed off. "It's serious, sir. They're asking for her." Hyun-soo didn't wait for more details. He went straight to Angel's office, found her on the phone, face pale. She looked up when he entered, tears streaming. "I have to go. They need me. I'll arrange everything. Private flight, hotel, whatever you need." "I can't afford." "I'm not asking you to afford it. I'm handling it." He pulled out his phone. "When do you want to leave?" "As soon as possible. You'll be in the air in 3 hours." "Hyun-soo, I can't let you pay for this." "You can, and you will. Your family needs you, and I'm making sure you get to them. Don't argue with me on this." She started to protest, then seemed to realize the futility. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just go pack. I'll pick you up in an hour." He arranged everything. First-class tickets, hotel reservations, a driver in Kigali, emergency funds in case she needed them. Then he drove her to the airport, walked her to the gate. "I don't know how long I'll be gone," she said. "Take as long as you need. Your job will be waiting." What about us?" "We'll be waiting too." He pulled her close, held her tight. "Go take care of your family. That's what matters right now." She pulled back, looked up at him. "Come with me." "What?" "Come with me. I don't want to do this alone. Angel, I can't just leave. I have responsibilities here." "And I don't?" Her voice broke. "I'm scared, Hyun-soo. I'm terrified that I'll get there, and they'll be gone, and I'll have to bury my baby siblings, and I can't do that alone." He saw it then. The fear she'd been holding, back, the weight she carried, the absolute terror of losing more family, and he knew he'd do anything to take that pain away. Okay, I'm coming with you." He pulled out his phone, called Tae-min. "Clear my schedule for the next week. I'm going to Rwanda." "Sir, you have meetings. Reschedule them. This is more important." He hung up before Tae-min could argue. Angel stared at him. "You're really coming?" "I'm really coming. You shouldn't face this alone." She broke then, fell into his arms and sobbed, and he held her through it, whispering promises he intended to keep. They boarded the plane together. She fell asleep on his shoulder, exhausted from crying. He sat awake, planning, already thinking about what he could do to help when they landed. Rwanda greeted them with rain and humidity. The driver took them straight to the hospital, a small facility on the outskirts of Kigali. Her siblings were in ICU. The twins, Amadi and Neka, looked so small in their hospital beds. Broken bones, internal injuries, but alive. Barely. Angel sat between their beds, holding their hands, talking to them in Kinyarwanda. Hyun-soo stood back, giving her space, feeling helpless in a way he wasn't used to. The doctor pulled him aside. "Are you family?" "Close enough." "The children need surgery. Multiple surgeries, actually. But the cost..." The doctor named a figure that would bankrupt most families. "Do whatever they need. Money isn't an issue." "Sir, whatever procedures, whatever specialists, whatever medication. Do it all. Send the bills to me." He handed over his business card. "I'll transfer funds immediately." The doctor looked stunned. This is very generous." "It's necessary. Those kids are important to someone I care about. That makes them important to me." Over the next 3 days, Hyun-soo arranged everything. The best surgeons in Kigali, private rooms, round-the-clock care. He hired nurses, paid for medications, covered every expense without blinking. Angel noticed, obviously. "You can't keep doing this. Watch me." "Hyun-soo, this is too much. The surgeries alone cost..." "I don't care what they cost. Your siblings are getting the best care available. End of discussion." "Why?" She grabbed his arm, forced him to look at her. "Why are you doing all this?" "Because I love you. Because seeing you in pain destroys me. Because I'd bankrupt myself 100 times over if it meant keeping your family safe." "Because it's the right thing to do," he said instead. She didn't believe him, but she stopped arguing. The twins pulled through surgery. Recovery would be long, but they'd survive. Angel cried again, this time from relief. Her other siblings arrived, Chidiebere and Ngozi, both fierce and protective, and deeply suspicious of the Korean man who'd paid for everything. "Who is he?" Chidiebere asked in English. "My boss." "Bosses don't fly across the world for employees." Angel looked at Hyun-soo, then back at her brother. "It's complicated." "Complicated how?" "Just complicated." That night, after everyone else had gone home, Angel and Hyun-soo sat in the hospital courtyard under unfamiliar stars. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For everything. For coming. For staying. For caring." "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. You dropped everything to be here. You paid for surgeries I couldn't afford. You've been kinder to my family than most of their actual relatives. Your family matters to you. That makes them matter to me." She turned to face him. "I'm falling for you. I think I've been falling since that first night. But I was too scared to admit it. But watching you with my siblings, seeing how you take care of people you don't even know just because they're connected to me, I can't keep pretending this is just professional or just convenient." His heart stopped. "Angel, I know it's complicated. I know your world is dangerous. I know there are a million reasons this shouldn't work. But I don't care anymore. I want this. I want you." He kissed her then, not her forehead or her cheek, but her hand, pressed his lips to her knuckles, holding her gaze, pouring everything he felt into that one gesture. "I'm falling too," he said. "Have been since you solved that briefcase. Probably before that, if I'm honest. You walked into my life and changed everything, and I don't want to go back to who I was before you. What if I hurt you? What if you don't? What if your enemies come after me? I'll protect you, always. What if I'm not strong enough for your world? You're strong enough for anything." He cupped her face gently. "I've built my entire life on control and strategy and emotional distance. But with you, I don't want any of that. I just want you, however you'll have me." She kissed his palm, shy and sweet. "I'll have you completely, if you'll have me the same way. Deal." They sat in the courtyard until sunrise, talking about everything and nothing, making promises without words, falling deeper with every shared breath. The next day, Chidiebere cornered Hyun-soo in the hospital cafeteria. "You're in love with my sister." "Yes." "And you're going to take care of her?" "For the rest of my life, if she'll let me." "Good. Because if you hurt her, I don't care how powerful you are, I'll find a way to make you regret it." Hyun-soo smiled. "I'd expect nothing less. Your sister raised you well." "She did. Which is why I'm trusting you with her." Chidiebere extended his hand. Don't make me regret that trust." They shook hands, an understanding passing between them. A week later, the twins were stable enough to leave ICU. Hyun-soo arranged for long-term care, hired physical therapists, made sure the family had everything they needed. Then he and Angel flew back to Seoul. The flight home felt different, easier, like they'd crossed some invisible threshold and come out on the other side changed. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we figure it out together. No more hiding, no more pretending this is just professional. Your employees will talk. Let them. I don't care what anyone thinks as long as you're happy. I'm happy." She leaned against his shoulder, scared, but happy. Scared of what? Of how much I feel. Of how fast this happened. Of what it means. It means we're taking a chance on something real. Isn't that worth being scared for? Yeah, it is. They landed in Seoul to gray skies and cold wind. Tae-min picked them up, gave Hyun-soo a knowing look, but said nothing. At the office the next day, whispers followed them everywhere. Hyun-soo ignored them. Angel tried to ignore them, but struggled. "Everyone's staring," she whispered during a hallway passing. "Let them stare. We're not doing anything wrong. We're dating. I work for you. That's a conflict of interest. Then quit." She stopped walking. "What?" "Quit working for me. Start your own consulting firm. I'll be your first client, and I'll pay you double what you're making now." "You're insane. I'm practical. If working together bothers you, we'll find another solution. But I'm not giving you up, and I'm not hiding what we have." She stared at him, then laughed. "You really don't do anything halfway, do you? Not when it matters. Okay. I'll think about starting my own firm, but not yet. I like working here, conflict of interest or not. Then stay and ignore the gossip. Easy for you to say, you're the boss. I'm the woman everyone thinks slept her way to a corner office. Anyone who thinks that is an idiot, who doesn't know you." He moved closer, lowering his voice. "You earned everything you have through skill and intelligence. Don't let anyone make you question that." "I won't. But it still bothers me." "I know. But Angel, you've faced worse than office gossip. You've raised siblings from another country. You've survived poverty and loss and discrimination. You can survive this too." She nodded, squared her shoulders. "You're right. I can. I know you can. You're the strongest person I've ever met." That evening, he took her to meet Da-hee. His sister was waiting at a cafe, practically vibrating with excitement. "You must be Angel. I'm Da-hee, and I've been dying to meet you. Appa talks about you all the time." "Really?" Angel looked surprised. He never mentioned that. Because he's private and weird about feelings. But trust me, he's obsessed with you. It's actually kind of adorable. "I'm standing right here," Hyun-soo said. "I know. Isn't it fun?" Da-hee grinned. "So Angel, tell me everything. How did you two meet? What do you see in my grumpy brother? Are you secretly a saint for putting up with him?" The evening passed in laughter and easy conversation. Da-hee and Angel hit it off immediately, bonding over shared interests and stories about Hyun-soo's intense personality. Watching them together, seeing the two most important women in his life getting along, Hyun-soo felt something settle in his chest. Peace, maybe. Or hope. Later, driving Angel home, she said, "Your sister is wonderful." "She likes you. How can you tell?" "Because she didn't interrogate you about your intentions. When she actually likes someone, she's welcoming. When she doesn't, she becomes a prosecutor." "Good to know I passed the test." There was never any doubt. At her apartment, he walked her to the door again. It had become their ritual. "Come in," she said. "I should go. It's late." "Hyun-soo," she took his hand. "Come in. Please." He followed her inside, closed the door behind them. She led him to the couch, sat close. "I've been thinking," she said. "About?" "About us. About what this means. Where it's going." "And?" "And I think," she took a breath, "I think I want to know everything. about your business, your family, the dangerous parts you've been protecting me from. If we're doing this, really doing this, I need to understand all of it. Hyun-soo had known this. Conversation would come eventually. Still, hearing her ask made his stomach tighten. Are you sure? Once you know, you can't unknow it. I'm sure. I've pieced together enough to understand you're not just an import-export. I've seen the way people react to your name, the kind of security you have, the resources you can access without questions. She held his gaze. Tell me the truth. So he did. He told her about his family's empire, built over 3 generations, about the shipping routes that carried both legal and illegal goods, about the political connections, the payoffs, the careful balance between legitimate business and underground operations, about his father's death, about the enemies who wanted to take what his family had built. I control most of the eastern trade routes, he said. Shipping, logistics, distribution. Some of it's completely legal. Some of it exists in gray areas. And some, he paused. Some of it crosses lines that would put me in prison if the wrong people found out. She listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. I don't deal in things that hurt innocent people, he continued. No human trafficking, no drugs, nothing that destroys lives. But I do move goods that shouldn't be moved, and I do pay people to look the other way. I'm not a good person, Angel. I'm just trying to protect what my father died for. Silence stretched between them. Then she said, Okay. Okay? I'm not going to pretend I'm not scared. I am. This is way more than I expected. She squeezed his hand. But I've also seen how you take care of people, how you protected my siblings, how you care for Dahi, how you treat your employees. You're not just your business, Hyun-soo. You're more than that. What if my enemies come after you because of me? Then you'll protect me, like you promised. She moved closer. I'm not naive. I know this is dangerous, but I also know I'd rather face danger with you than safety without you. You might regret that. Maybe. But I'll regret running away more. He pulled her close, rested his forehead against hers. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you've got me anyway. They sat like that for a long time, breathing together, holding each other, making silent promises about the future. The next few months were the happiest of Hyun-soo's life. He and Angel fell into a rhythm that felt natural despite its complications. They worked together, navigated office politics together, built something real together. He introduced her to his business partners, who were surprised but respectful. She impressed them the same way she'd impressed him, with quiet intelligence and unshakable confidence. He took her to family dinners, where his extended relatives scrutinized her and found her worthy. She handled their questions and thinly veiled racism with grace, never backing down, but never losing her composure. He showed her his world, and she showed him hers. They found balance, but balance never lasts forever. The first threat came in the form of a photograph. Hyun-soo was in a meeting when Tae-min slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a picture of Angel leaving her apartment building. Someone had circled her face in red ink. On the back, one word: soon. Ice flooded his veins. When did this arrive? This morning. Courier delivery, untraceable. Tae-min's expression was grim. Sir, this is a clear threat. They're targeting her to get to you. Who sent it? We're investigating, but my guess is the Lee family. They've been pushing into your territory for months, and this feels like their style. The Lee family. Rival organization, ruthless and ambitious. They'd wanted war for years, and Hyun-soo had managed to keep the peace through strategic alliances and careful diplomacy. But this? Threatening Angel? This was a declaration. Double her security. I want her protected around the clock. Already done. But sir, you need to tell her. She deserves to know she's at risk. Hyun-soo knew Tae-min was right, but the thought of seeing fear in Angel's eyes, of telling her she was in danger because of him, made him want to destroy something. He found her in her office, working on a project. She looked up and smiled, and the sight of that smile, knowing someone wanted to hurt her, made rage build in his chest. "We need to talk." Her smile faded. "What's wrong?" He showed her the photograph, all color drained from her face. "Who sent this?" "Enemies of mine. Business rivals who think threatening you will make me weak." "Will it?" "Yes, but not the way they expect." He knelt beside her chair, took her hands. "I'm not going to let anyone hurt you. I'm moving you somewhere safer, increasing your security, eliminating the threat. But Angel, I need you to be careful. No more weekend jobs, no more going anywhere alone, no more taking chances. You want me to live in a cage. I want you to live, period." She pulled her hands away, stood, paced. "I can't do this. I can't live my life in fear, looking over my shoulder, wondering if today's the day someone comes after me. You won't have to. I'll handle this." "How? By going to war? By putting yourself at risk?" She turned to face him. "I know what this world is like now. I know what happens when territories are threatened. People die, Hyun-soo. And I can't lose you. You won't lose me. You can't promise that. I can, and I am." He stood, moved toward her. "I've spent 3 years building my power, consolidating my control, making sure I'm untouchable. I did it for my family, for Da-hee, for the legacy my father left behind. But now, I'm doing it for you too, because I will not let anyone take you from me. What if I leave? What if I go back to Rwanda, get out of your world, make myself not worth targeting? Then I'll follow you, or better yet, I'll destroy anyone who thinks threatening you is an option, and then you'll never have to run. You're talking about violence. I'm talking about protection. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, it looks the same." They stared at each other, both angry, both scared, both unwilling to back down. "I won't apologize for protecting you," he said finally. "And I won't apologize for hating that I need protection." Then we're at an impasse. "Yeah, we are." She grabbed her bag, headed for the door. "Where are you going?" "Home. I need to think." "You're not going anywhere without security." "Watch me." But Tae-min was already waiting in the hallway, and 2 bodyguards fell into step behind her. She shot Hyun-soo a furious look, but didn't argue. After she left, Hyun-soo stood in her office, feeling like he'd just lost something important. Tae-min entered quietly. "She's angry. She has a right to be. I brought danger into her life. You also brought love, security, and a future. She'll remember that once she's done being scared. What if she doesn't? Then you remind her. You don't give up on people you love, sir. Your father taught you that. His father, who died protecting what mattered, who'd chosen sacrifice over surrender." Hyun-soo made a decision. "Set up a meeting with the Lee family, tomorrow. Neutral ground." "Sir, that's dangerous. I don't care. This ends now, one way or another." The meeting took place in a warehouse on the edge of the city, neutral territory, surrounded by witnesses from both sides. Lee Sang-min arrived with his usual entourage, arrogant and smug. "Park Hyun-soo, I was wondering when you'd finally grow a spine. You threatened someone under my protection. That's not business. That's personal." "Everything is business. Your girlfriend is just leverage. She's more than that, and touching her means war." "War?" Sang-min laughed. "You think I'm afraid of war? I've been waiting for you to give me an excuse." "Then here's your excuse." Hyun-soo pulled out a folder, tossed it on the table between them. "Evidence of your operation's financial irregularities, tax evasion, money laundering, fraud, enough to put you away for 20 years. Sang-min's smile faltered. "You're bluffing." "Am I? Because I have copies of these documents ready to go to 3 different prosecutors, all of whom owe me favors. One word from me, and your empire crumbles. You'd start a war over one woman? I'd burn everything to ash over her. So here's how this works. You back off. You never threaten her again. You never even think her name. And in return, these documents